Welcome back, AfterBuzzers. We got Wags Miami series premiere season 2 right here.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I'm like waiting. Yes. So like, what are they gonna play?
The destination for TV super.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe this is it. We always have to open with a song, and we were like, "What song do we play? Let's try to find their opening." So
we figured it out. Well, we didn't figure it out.
Welcome back, AfterBuzzers, to the Wags Miami After Show. We're excited to get started, and we're excited to have season 2.
I know.
Were you surprised?
No, not at all.
I was a little bit surprised.
What I'm not surprised about, because I feel like I called this at the end of last season.
Probably.
I said we would see Wags Miami before we seen the original Wags come back on E.
You did say that.
I called it.
And I was going to ask you, but
Where's my chocolate?
before I ask, let's introduce ourselves.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I'll get us started. Hey, guys, it's me, Heather Yerrid. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Heather Yerrid. And to my left, Domonique, where can they find you?
Yes, I am Domonique P_ESQ on all social media platforms.
Wonderful. So tell me, I was going to ask you, because I know this is your thing, why haven't we seen the other Wags?
I think it's a bunch of kind of like different variables. The network is saying it's just due to like scheduling, and it's easier for them to put their show a little bit after Wags Miami, which just doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. Technically, we should have seen the original Wags, which is Wags LA. I'm assuming that's what they're going to make the new tagline. Mm-hmm. Probably sometime like last fall.
Now, wasn't this supposed to start in June? Mm-hmm. So that, I think somehow the two are connected.
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and I cannot wait to dig deeper. I actually meant to do that earlier today, but life got crazy.
That's okay. We'll talk about it next time. So let's talk about the fresh faces before we get into the episode.
Yes. We had 2 new castmates.
Yes, Carla and Faithen. Okay. Yeah, tell me what that noise meant.
You know, I hate to kind of speculate for future episodes, but they did, you know, of course, on any season premiere, they always kind of do a forecast of the season. And it seems like the majority of like the that we're going to see this season are going to come from these 2 individuals. So I think that's the 2 wives,
Love
which
that.
I thought was very, very interesting. But these girls seem to act as if there can only be one in the group.
Yes,
one wife,
queen.
I should say.
Oh, okay. I was going to say one queen bee. Mm-hmm. I was very intrigued. I'm very happy that this season we have at least more women with rings on their fingers and actual wives.
Yes.
Because that was something we talked about last season. Why are we watching women who are single on Wags?
Well, it's interesting because I feel like there's been a lot of shade thrown lately in the whole reality TV world as a whole.
Tell me more.
In regards to this entire athlete wives, housewives world that we find ourselves in right now. And I've seen multiple wives kind of shade these other women like, you aren't what the tagline of your show says. So why are you here?
I agree with that. I personally still don't
feel kind of 2 ways about it, and I think that folds in really well to this season. We see Darnell, who returns, who's one of my absolute favorites, but we've seen at the end of last season, her relationship with her football star is no longer there, but I think it's an interesting story that I think is going to unfold this season as far as what does your life look like after that limelight or that relationship that has been so much of your identity is stripped away, because now you have to figure out like a lot of these girls have been with these guys since high school. Mm-hmm. And so it's like my entire identity has been wrapped around you and your sport. Mm-hmm. So who am I actually without this world? Are these girls still my friend? Because in a lot of these situations, once you're out or you're no longer dating or the fiance, these girls lose your number and act like you never existed.
I really hope we do get to see that in the show, because one thing I wrote down about tonight's episode, again, you know, my favorite part about these types of reality shows, I always go towards the ones that talk about relationships, because that's my heart. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this particular show, which is also what makes it amazing and why people watch, because if it was the average Joe show, no one would watch it. But it's all about the bling. It's all about the cards. It's all about the houses. So I hope we do get to see the dynamic that you're referring to. I also noticed this season they finally, because a lot of us voiced opinions about us not knowing their dating history. Yeah. This time they showed, I've dated this person, and this person. So now we do see, okay, this isn't just someone wanting to or sleeping with athletes. Oh, yeah. These are women that actually have had relationships. So let's get right into it. Ashley, 6 months engaged now.
Yes. However, I understood why this was interesting, and I know we'll talk about it a little later. The dynamic between her and her future mother-in-law.
Let's get into it.
She kind of kept egging Ashley on, like, why is it taking you so long to set a date? And I love that Ashley was like super honest about it. When you're dating an athlete, your whole world is their schedule, and so a lot of times it's hard to really lock things down, knowing that they have such a small window of free time. I think about all of my athlete friends. I literally just got back from North Carolina for a WAG wedding, and the wedding literally had to be planned around his off season. And so I think when you're trying to nail down dates and colors and invite lists, it's hard to do that when you have someone who is so busy and they only want to focus on getting the ring, or getting to the playoffs,
and the ring being the Super Bowl ring.
The Super Bowl
yes,
ring.
let's clarify.
Two different rings here. So I think she's trying to be respectful of the world that she's been in for quite some time, and she doesn't want to put more stress on Philip. So she's just saying, hey, that's really not your concern.
But
we're gonna get a date.
Did it. But that's what I was like thinking. Why did she not tell the truth to the mom? She was like, well, but we don't see her say, because I respect my man. I respect the fact that he's playing a sport right now, and I'm not going to plan it until the off season.
It was interesting to me that we seen her make that point in her confessional,
but not
to the mom herself. But I think we see further into the episode that there's just some really interesting dynamics. So I was interested to talk to you today, because I wanted to get your opinion on just that different piece of the relationship. When you go into a world where, you've been the baby's mom, you've been the longtime girlfriend, and now you're getting ready to become the wife. Those are three totally different stages in a relationship that not only you and your partner have to deal with, but their parents as well. And so we could kind of see after Phil wins the championship, not the Super Bowl, because they didn't win, but
NFC,
to my sports people out there. I thought it was really interesting that you see her mother being extremely encouraging, like, let the kids take their time, one ring at a time, which I thought was a really cute pun. But his mom was just like, no,
going in,
just brutal about it. So I wanted to kind of get your perspective on that.
So to me, what we saw there was your classic Philip's mom is the relationship in Philip's life prior to Ashley. So for that reason, and we see her really being like, even in the preview, like, I don't believe you, right? We see her basically devaluing, I'll use that term, Ashley, and not taking her seriously. What that tells me is clearly, and I think it was 11 years, so in the 11 years they've been together, clearly there had been some sort of turmoil or some sort of argument, because it is difficult when you have children and you're not married. The families aren't as connected, it's like when you have dogs, or when you start dating someone who already has kids, you're obviously going to gear towards like, oh, that's not my kid's fault, or that's not my dog's fault, and it's a dynamic that's inevitable. But what I think is happening here is we have the mother who is used to having Philip be her relationship, her husband. She does not like that Ashley's stepping in, and let's go ahead and jump to the end. The conversation at the end, now that really got to me.
That was interesting, but was even more interesting before we jump to that end conversation. The fact that the mom got engaged right after Ashley and Philip did, I thought was very interesting.
But I don't think that was planned. Like, I think it was. I really think that was coincidental.
There could have been some added pressure, though.
Nah, I don't know.
I'm gonna stick to. I think the mom kind of was like, look, little homie, I got to get married before my son does. Because even in the conversation at the restaurant, she was like, well, I'm gonna walk down the aisle before you do. And Ashley was like, I'm sure we'll beat you too. And she was like, no, I'm like, it was almost as if I want to know your wedding date so I can purposefully make sure that I'm married before you.
Wow.
It's how I internalize that conversation.
I mean, maybe you're right.
I'm gonna tweet Ashley like, did mom get married before you?
Yeah, find out.
I'm just super interested to know. But Ashley, if you're watching right now, we need you on the show ASAP.
I don't think Philip's mom at all attempted to plan that. I think that was literally just a jab, because she's like, you guys haven't set a date, which I do think she's jabbing to try to be like, my son doesn't want to marry you, which is not the case.
Right.
But to me, where Philip would not take up for Ashley, I felt some type of way. I mean, I just got off the Married at First Sight panel, and you see with Nate and Sheila, right? Nate's mother, classic, right? That was her relationship. And then Nate said to, this is my queen now. This is who I'm married to. Philip won't stand up to his mom. But he said it's because Ashley needs to grow up.
He did say that she needed to grow up, but he said, I can't continue to get in between the situation.
I heard that.
So
do you think that means he did before?
Well, because she, at the dinner blow up, which I thought her mom was not acting her age at all, I did feel like Ashley was trying to be extremely mature in that dinner conversation from my perspective.
Yeah.
I felt like Ashley mentioned something along the lines of, when I brought my child home from the hospital, this is what I asked. This is not what happened. And her mom said 3 things that dug me wrong. The first one, she said, it's not your house, it's Philip's, when they have been in a relationship for quite some time living together. 2, I've had a C-section before, so stop, like, with your pity party, which all seemed to be very insensitive. And the third one, where she was like, I'm not your mother-in-law yet.
Yes.
And I was just like, their child has to be like 5 or 6 years old.
Yes.
So at some point, you really got to get over yourself.
Yes.
And just decide that I'm going to be the adult. I'm going to be Philip's mom in the situation.
That's not going to happen.
I'm not going to.
It is less likely for a parent to change their ways than actually the individual coming in. So that's where I will take up for Philip on that, right?
Yeah.
Ashley has to rise above, because it's just like with my mom. I love my mom to death, but she has some tendencies that I still get irate over.
Yeah.
But I have to just remember, okay, this is my mom. She is not going to change. I'm the one that has to level set expectations with the relationship and overlook it. Ashley has to do that.
I was really looking at this, and I would love to kind of hear your guys' comments about this in the comments, if you guys know, or are athletes or wags yourselves. What I've noticed is that it seems like it's a little bit harder for mothers that are mothers of athletes to let go of the reins a little bit, because I feel like in this particular situation, you've had a little bit more oversight of your child's life. It's not just about being a parent. You're their momager. You're their encourager when they're in AAU sports and Little League and getting them through college, and now they're a professional athlete. Like, I feel like there's a little bit more intertwinedness of the lives. So I think when a spouse comes in, it's just like you're taking complete ownership over this whole world that this parent has. And I think you see a lot with even dads when they try to live vicariously through their sons.
Yeah.
And to me, I find it to be a little bit sad, because you can tell that these parents don't have much outside of their child's lives.
Well, that's the difference when parenting, having an identity and a role.
Yeah.
That's where parents are going wrong, and why we have helicopter parenting and why we have failure to launch. Parents forget that this is just their role until a certain age, and it becomes their identity, and then they can't let go. But unique perspective that you see it more as athletes, I see it more as broken homes. So I think that's happening not necessarily because they're momager or they're following with the sports. I feel it's because they don't have a husband themselves, or they don't have a quality relationship. So again, that son is filling that void.
That's very interesting.
I think that's like the missing piece. I do want to comment on, this is a little bit going back towards Ashley. I loved that she said, you mentioned it earlier, that her energy, she seems a little bit lighter, and she also wants to be like the non-drama one. But I want to rise above it, being more wifey like. I was like, is that what it is?
Funny. I was like, shouldn't she be like
the opposite,
acting like a mature person because you need to be a mature person regardless of the ring? But what I noticed is that I always have a hard time trying to understand if the immaturity that we see, especially on shows like this, is because it's a reality show, or because this is truly how these women are in this world. And I think it's that's what's hard to see.
I think it's how these women are. This one, I think these women are being real. There's just something about it that I do believe. Here's what I did write down. Everyone mentioned that they matured since last season, and I wrote everyone matured after seeing their ass last season, because they were literally off the wall.
I was hoping, here's what I was hoping. And I hope to have Claudia back on this season as well. I was hoping to see a new version of Claudia this season outside of the dark hair. I've seen the new hair.
Yeah.
I love the ring. I love the new house. So I think the material aspects of newness are there. I was hoping that in retrospect to her seeing herself in season 1, that she was going to come back in and kind of have a moment like, wow, I do notice at some points in this where I put all the blame on this other party. I did have a little bit more to kind of fuel that fire myself. We did not see that in this opening premiere. I was really, really hoping that on that boat scene where they were like, let's just put it all out there so we can start the season off fresh. And she was like, yeah.
Well, she said, I already apologized. I'm not going to apologize anymore.
Here's the thing. I feel like she apologized once very early on, but there were a lot of more stuff that I feel like got added on throughout season 1 that I don't feel like ever got resolved or addressed. Yeah. And I feel like that's going to continue to kind of flow over to the new additions that we have on the team. We've already seen that.
Yeah.
I think.
Can't wait to get into that.
But what I did respect was what's the baby girl's name?
Carla or Faven?
Carla. When she kind of tried to break it down, and she was like, look, she was like, at the end of the day,
there's emotion here.
There's emotion here, but not only that, you two both are friends of individuals who got into something. And
she was referring to Danielle and Astrid.
Right. Yeah. And so Darnell and Astrid are basically, Darnell's really upset at Astrid for jumping in, but Astrid was just trying to take up for her girl in her absence. And so I feel like those two could really come together and kind of squash whatever their beef is. I did see on social media that they were all together at some type of event yesterday. So I'm hoping that the girls are starting to kind of put the pieces back together, and we'll actually see more of a friendship develop over the season.
Yeah, what I really picked up from everything that you're mentioning, and then even seeing that picture last night, because I don't think Claudia was in that picture.
She wasn't.
So again, we don't have Vanessa this season.
Nope.
And I think that's because Vanessa consciously chose to pick her man.
Yeah.
Like, not this show.
Yeah.
I think we see that in Claudia. So one thing about Claudia, to kind of go back to what you were talking about before, that remorse, that awareness that you're speaking of, some women, some people really do believe that when they apologize, that's it. And also, if they're not the ones to escalate, meaning like throw their hands, get loud, all of the above, that they really aren't the ones that lost control. And I think that's what we see with her, and why she's just like, look, I kept calm the whole time, because technically she did. We do not see her blow up last season. And with this season, literally, I think she is focused on Julius 110%, and that's all she cares about. Whether it's keeping her position on the show, whether it's anything, I think that she is probably the least interested. She likes the show, but she's the least interested in the drama, and we see her stay out of that. So let's get into the new girls and how they were brought in. So let's intro Carla.
Okay.
What was your first opinion of Carla after seeing her on the yacht?
I loved how she stepped up to kind of add a little bit of third party looking in. Voice of reason. I loved that. I'm hoping that it stays throughout the season and she kind of rises above the level of drama but comes at it from a logical standpoint. That's what I'm hoping for. Faven on the other end, I think she came in a little hot. I think she is trying to assert herself as a future actual castmate of the show.
Oh yeah, a lead per se.
Yeah, and so I really was just like, I think what helped me to kind of like not pass so much judgment on her so quickly, I was like, I'm gonna give this a little bit of an opportunity.
And which one's her, Carla or Faven?
Faven was because her husband said, you tend to like have a hot streak, you tend to kind of have a mouth that can be taken out of context. And so I know a lot of people who have very great intentions and they think they're joking, myself included a lot of times, and people don't perceive what they were saying the way that they meant it to come out.
Sure.
So I felt like, you know what, I think she has good intentions here, so I'm excited because she's a small little pit fire, and so I'm excited to see how she integrates in the entire group. I don't like the fact, and this could just be just me being overly conscious, but I don't like the fact that both of these additions were added into kind of already fiery pits as far as groups go. I would have loved it if they would have been like truly new to the group and didn't know. I mean, I guess you kind of they have to have some kind of introduction to the group. So
everyone has to know somebody, but this seems deep.
But this seems like they all had like very deep personal relationships with the two opposing parties.
At least Faven and Darnell.
So I hope that they both, as we continue to see the season move forward, will give opposite groups, and when I say our two duos, the benefit of the doubt without passing judgment from what they've heard from their friends.
Agreed.
I don't know that that's going to happen.
Yeah, agreed. So I loved Carla. I loved her intro. I loved her fun fact that actually baseball coaches look at their girlfriends.
I thought that was weird.
I loved it. I loved that fun fact. I was like, that's cool. I don't know if it's true, but that was amazing.
That was my thing. I was like, it's so interesting. I know a lot of wags, but not too many from the baseball world. So I was just like, now I got to do some digging. Yeah. I was like, I've never heard that before. So it's like, now I have to get to the bottom of that one.
But it makes so much sense. The coach is like, if she's hot, then that means you're confident. If she's confident, you've got to be confident. So I loved that. So I loved her. The same thing that you pointed out, I thought was amazing. She's like, look, there's love here. There's emotion here. Because at the root of anger is actually caring. You know, we all know that. And I thought that she came in very open. I thought Faven came in wanting to be open. I loved her good gesture of throwing what I'll call her dinner party.
Yes.
But in her dinner party, I think it was Kenny, her alter ego name. I think it was Kenny, and how Corey said that she was spicy. So I think we immediately saw that spice.
Oh yes.
So I have to admit, I don't think she was coming in ready to be everybody's friend.
No.
I think she was coming, and I don't think Darnell planned this, but I think she was coming in ready to, like you said, stake her claim, which, hey, she's a wife. She has all right to do so, right? But I don't think she was coming in to make friends with everybody, because just like the conversation they were having, okay, let me know who everybody is. Who's the fake one? Who's the fake bitch? They're like, Claudia. And she said, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. So there's always an ulterior motive, but hey, that's why she's probably successful. She's got a suit business. She's got a phenomenal marriage.
Was really amazing.
She's got kids. It's a boss lady. And so I loved that. She's a very self-successful woman. But we know, at least from what I saw in episode 1, that she is not here to make best friends.
No.
You know, she is here to leave her mark. I also liked how she so tastefully described Miami. So everyone's trying to come up. AKA, I took that as every woman's looking to spread their legs so that they can get with an athlete.
She said that. I was like, well, that's a new one.
I thought that was a great way to describe Miami. No offense to everybody in Miami, but I mean, everyone that I've met, there is always an ulterior motive, but it was a very classy way to say trying to come up.
That's what she said. She called them all hoes.
Yes, she basically did. So in that, I agree with your mutual, I hope that they're there to be friends, but we clearly see that the two wives in the groups, that you're right, already have positions on the board.
Yeah.
They don't like each other.
Yeah, I'm going to wait to give a definitive, like, they don't like each other until next week.
Until you see it from the preview when she says, you're fake. She literally looks at her face and she says, you're fake. I'm curious to see how Kayla's going to respond.
I'm really big on, like, okay, I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt until I see something differently.
And then we'll take it from there. I want to talk about Astrid's body type procedure.
Can I just say, whoa, zang zang?
What do you mean?
Like,
I've never heard that phrase before. Maybe I'm behind the times.
I was really, really surprised that that's what we opened up as far as her storyline for the opening episode. And it kind of just made me sad. I feel like we're such in a age, and maybe it's always been there, but because of social media, it's ever so present. I wouldn't have thought that she had any body issues. She owns a very successful swim line. Clothed, she looks like, she has a very nice body. I was surprised to learn that she's already undergone lipo once before, and she wasn't happy with the results. And I think
bumps, yeah, she had bumps.
She had bumps, which I hear is something that it's a risk factor that happens when you do get
especially
lipo.
If you eat like a certain way.
Yeah. You have to and I think that's the one thing that people don't really realize. Just getting lipo is not a fix all to not taking care of yourself and working out and all that little stuff. And maybe she did all that and she just was one of the very unlucky people to get bumps. But it just made me sad that she made a comment about just not feeling confident without getting this procedure done. And I just was thinking, how many girls feel like that? How many girls feel like, and then it was interesting because Darnell even mentioned this at the very, very first few minutes of the episode. Ashley orders what looked like enough food to feed an entire football team.
I was right down. I was like, are they the only ones there that's gonna eat that?
I was like, I thought all the girls were there to eat chicken. But Darnell was like, it's so frustrating that you could sit here and eat all of this and you're gonna not. I have friends like that. I'm just like, girl, you look like you work out 6 times a day. Anywho, and
I was like,
and you feel like, you know, like you see it right away. And so it just is kind of interesting to me that, you know, these are the things that women have to focus on. It's like, you know, is your hair right? Is your body right? And am I eating good? And it's just like, girl, do you?
I mean, I loved that they shared this. I thought it was great.
First of all, I had to Google because I had no clue what this procedure was. I had never heard of it before. I was like, is this new? And then I thought it was non-invasive, but then I was like, is this lipo again?
That's what I was going to ask you. I was like, that did not look non-invasive at all.
I was like, I think she had lipo again.
I mean, whatever it was, I've never heard of the body type procedure. I don't really know. Did you find out, is that the real name of it?
Well, I Googled it and nothing came up.
Yeah, I don't think that's the real name.
I was like, maybe they accidentally gave us the wrong name.
Yeah, no.
So I'll also tweet Astrid for you guys.
Yeah, and I'm sure she'll
let you know. I'm sure she will. So she's another one that we did not get a chance to have on the show last season, but definitely pushing hard to have her on.
For sure, for sure. I thought it was great that she showed it. I think it's very common. I mean, I'm a confident woman, so I can say what my pluses are, what my minuses are. Great arms, great legs, everything proportional, except always my stomach, because I had natural boobs. My stomach has always been big. So I did not wear a bathing suit for 15 years. And I'm really not big, like at all. But 15 years I did not wear a bathing suit, from 99 to 2014. So I can only imagine, especially being around the crowd that she was in, how that would influence her. And it actually really does affect your sexual, like, part of you intimately in a relationship, because you don't want to really be, but she does not come off as someone who's not
super confident.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the interesting part, is that it's easy to fake the confidence and not truly feel it on the inside. And I thought it was interesting that I'm pretty sure that having a swimsuit line and, you know, constantly being around these extremely fit women, on top of the fact that you're on a national reality show, that does increase your level of just kind of feeling like, I want to, you know, look as perfect as I possibly can. And maybe these are things that did not bother her
before she was on national TV.
Her before she was on TV, and you look back at yourself and you're just like, ugh, like that and this. And I get it. I mean, I always tell people, the very first year that I competed for Miss Washington, I came in first runner up, and the judge literally told me the two reasons why I did not win. One was because I was black, and the second was because I could be a little skinnier. Wow. Mind you, at the time, I was a size 1.
What year was that?
Like, literally, this happened in 2009.
Wow.
So it was literally one of those things where it's like, I never had a body complex until I was told my body wasn't perfect.
And you were a 1. See,
you guys, like clothes falling off. So I can only imagine what are in her comments, or who, you know, responds and says, like, you're the thickest girl in the show, which I think is amazing.
Oh yeah, especially if you're proportional, and she's proportional.
She's
got like a beautiful.
I'm like, girl, you got hips, you got butt. I'm like, I'm up and down. So I'm like, I think you look amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, people are brutal.
But I always say this: if there's something about you that you don't love and you can fix it without harming yourself, do what's going to make you happy, is always my stamp.
Absolutely. I love that. So I think this season,
but we didn't get to see it before and after. Did I fall asleep?
No, nothing yet. And I don't think they'll show us one. Because if she got it right then we're probably not going to be able to see her stomach for, I mean, you have to be wrapped up, from my understanding. Like, but I don't know.
I have so many questions.
Yeah.
I'll have answers next week, you guys.
But we might not even be able to tell a difference, because all she said, again, it was like lumps or bumps. That's it. It wasn't like it was a big deal.
I couldn't really see the lumps when the doctor was going like this. I was just kind of like, I would love to see it before and after.
They didn't show it. All right, let's talk about Hencha. We only got a little bit of Hencha and Metisha, but let's see.
I don't feel like we got a lot of either one.
Yeah, Hencha, we got her talking. We got her being herself, which we always love her, especially in the moment where she was explaining that she swallows with the water. But she wanted to squash it.
That was a very interesting conversation. Like, it was like they almost like went to video screens of like each girl saying yes or no, and I was just like,
how did that come up?
I would never respond to that.
You would have to if you're on a reality show. Come on. That's why people watch it. So we saw her want to squash it with Claudia in the beginning. Did Claudia respond with a yes or no?
I didn't see that, because it seemed as if Darnell and Ashley and Astrid kind of jumped in, and I don't really feel like there was a resolve. I feel like Claudia says something to the fact of, I don't ever have a problem with you. It's you guys having an issue with me. And I think that's when Darnell jumped in, and I was like, oh, here we go. Hope nobody gets tossed over the edge.
Speaking of body complexes per se, did you notice that Darnell stayed behind?
Yes, it made me sad.
I feel like that was the reason why. normal. I don't know if you noticed that. Maybe
I did notice. Like, I felt like she got up to like reach over and then she sat back down.
Yeah, she did not want to show her body.
It's funny because I'm like, she's another one. We've met Darnell in person. She has an amazing body, but I think when you're a little bit more proportioned than some of the other girls, that it can make you self-conscious. Like, when you're around a bunch of like super skinny broads, like, it's gonna make you feel a little out of place. But Darnell, you are gorgeous.
Yeah, you have to know your features that you love and know what your assets are. Know that, okay, I can't have everything or everybody would hate me. Hello. So since this was a get to know and just a high level overview, I think it's about time for some predictions so we can get into the next show.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
It's always
Domonique,
so weird with the colors.
We'll start with you.
My prediction is that we will see a huge divide the rest of the season. I don't think that Ashley, Darnell, and Claudia will ever be friends. I think because of that, we will never see true intertwinedness between Astrid and the girls as well. I'm praying that this changes in a few episodes, but that's my prediction thus far.
Okay. My prediction is going to go straight for Ashley and Philip's mom.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that we are going to see Ashley rise above the pettiness of Philip's mom. I think we're going to see her hold her tongue because she knows that's what she has. Hold her tongue in a way that doesn't mean that she fights back, but stands up for herself in an eloquent manner. And I think that she's going to do that, rise above being wifey like very well this season.
I hope she does.
I think she's going to hold it completely together. That's my prediction thus far.
We'll see.
All right. So thank you so much for tuning in to our Wags Miami Season 2 first episode premiere. Domonique, excuse me. Tell them where they can find you.
You guys can find me everywhere at DomoniqueP_ESQ.
All right, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Heather Yerrid. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. And gentlemen, if you're there too, we will see you next Monday.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.